Yes, it's John G. Sutton, Tales from the Jails. Thank you for watching my little broadcast today. Hope you've been enjoying them. You like and subscribe and all the rest of it. Anyway, I'm going to talk today a little bit about my favourite governor, Norman Brown of Strangeways Prison. First of all, let me say this. Norman Brown was a war hero. He was in the Korean War. He was a tank commander, and he got seriously burnt and injured during battle. So he was a war hero, and in that respect, have a great deal of respect for Norman Brown. But as a governor, he was a man out of his time, in my opinion. He would have been brilliant in the era of Victoria. That's Queen Victoria, by the way. In the 1880s, 1890s, he would have been magical. But in the 1970s, 1980s, when he was at Strangeways, he seemed to me a little bit Victorian in his attitude. The staff could do no wrong, didn't matter what they did. Beat prisoners up, charge them, didn't matter. Norman Brown, the staff were right. He was a real staff man. Didn't like me for some unknown reason. Seriously. See, I've got that twitch back again. It's in my eyebrows. Yeah, but no one didn't seem to get along with me. But I was trying to tell the staff that they couldn't be represented by the Prison Officers Association, which was being run by management, because managers can't run a trade union. Only in the prison service. Yeah, only in the prison service would you have your senior line manager running your union. And I've seen him at these union meetings sitting at the back taking notes. Yeah, taking notes. Anybody who speaks, such a body said such and such a thing, And you were definitely signing your own death warrant as regards your career if you started to speak up or became active. Well, I couldn't put up with that. It was nonsense. Norman didn't like it, though. I remember listening to God's Honest Truth this. And a notification came down from the Home Office that all individual prison officers were personally responsible for the care of the inmates in their charge. Seriously. So Norman Brown and his senior managers and the POA committee at Strangeways, called a meeting in the chapel. All the uniformed staff were to attend. Norman Brown, two or three, the deputy governor, the assistant deputy governor, and the POA committee were all on the stage. And Norman Brown stood up and made this speech, and he said, in future, it's an edict of the Home Office that all individual officers are responsible for what happens to the individual inmates in their charge. They are personally liable. And all the staff are sat there thinking, oh, well, that's all right, And I stood up and said, stop. Seriously, in front of 400 staff, whatever it was, all the lot there, I stood up and said, stop. I am not personally responsible for the overcrowding in this prison. There are currently 2,000 inmates in a prison that was designed nearly 200 years ago to house 785 men, and you are telling me that I'm responsible for locking 3 men into a cell that was designed in the reign of Queen Victoria to house 1 man. I am not responsible for that. The government is responsible for that, and they cannot pass that responsibility on to me or my colleagues, and we will not accept this. Everybody stood up and started shouting, don't stop, stop, stop. They're all pissed off. At the end of that, they're all around me. What are we going to do about this? What are we going to do about this? I said, we just told them, didn't we? We're not having it. We've told them to piss off. That was at the time that I was starting the Prison Officers Association. against the Prison Officers Association. I was starting the Prison Force Federation. Norman Brown did that. Didn't get away with it though. There was a campaign against that. I got assaulted shortly after that. Crazy. Anyway, I was in the hospital ward one day. Seriously, they got my number, you see. They wanted shut of me. So I was in the hospital ward, and big ward, slept about 20 inmates, patients on the ward, and I was the officer in charge of the ward. And Norman Brown came round on a governor's inspection, and I was in all my nursing gear, white thing, I had a nursing certificate. I was the nursing officer in charge of the ward. I had 2 other staff, but I passed all the exams, you see. So I was in charge. And Norman, and the number 1 discipline chief officer called me over. Mr. Sutton, yes. So I went over. Said, I want you to explain why there's this big stain on the floor. Big stain on the floor. Seriously, there was a stain on the floor. It was where they'd laid the tiles, probably 20, 30 years ago when they refurbished the place. And whoever had laid them had spilt adhesive, on. So when they put the tiles down, the adhesive to hold the tiles had smudged all over the thing. He said, why is this here? Why have you allowed this to happen? I said, excuse me, sir. I said, I'm the hospital officer in charge of this ward. Just give me 1 second here. So I went down and got the red band. That's a prisoner. I said, I want you to come with me. You're the red band in charge of cleaning this ward. I said, come with me. And I took him down the ward. I said, Mr. Brown, I said, I'd like to meet 634 Smith, who is the red band in charge of cleaning the hospital ward. Red Band Smith, this is Mr. Brown, the governor of the prison. Please explain to him why there's a mark on the floor, because you're responsible for cleaning it. I am responsible for the care of the patients. Thank you very much, sir. And I went off. Well, you've never seen anything like it. The chief officer who was with him went bright blue red, then he went white. I thought, oh, hell, he's going through the colours here. Hey, he's going to take off in a minute. And Norman Brown, absolutely looking furious. And I pissed off and went about taking people's temperatures and blood pressure and all the rest of it, And then they left the ward. And a few hours later, I got a call down from the chief officer. Go down here. What's this, Mr. Sutton, about you introducing the number 1 governor to the red band? I said, well, he wanted to know about cleaning the floor. Said, I don't clean the floor. I look after the patients, those people upstairs in the ward, where I'm in charge. That's what I do. And there's a guy up there that cleans the floor. So I thought it would be better if Norman Brown spoke to him directly. Poof, poof, get out of my office. I had respect for Norman Brown, though. He was a man who knew what he was doing. Nobody else did. Seriously. Anyway, it's not time for a songbook. Ding dong, it's the song dinger. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to try and do this now. You see, there's no notes. No notes. No books, no things. Do it off the top of my head. This is a poem I wrote perhaps 15, 20 years ago for one of my friends when he was living in a place called Wigan. And he'd been living there for quite a while, and he couldn't sell the house, and he was determined to get away because he wanted to move to the town of Leigh, which is another town in Lancashire. Or it was in Lancashire, Greater Manchester now, but it doesn't matter, it was Lancashire then. And so he was perplexed with this. He couldn't seem to get to sell it. So I wrote a poem for him, and it's called Wigan Refugee. And my mate's name was Ken. Known him since he was 9 years old. Ken and I used to smoke woodbines together when we were 9. firewood burning a match, I don't know, it was a couple of pence, and share it between us. I stopped smoking. I've not had a cigarette for 48 years now. Imagine that. Anyway, this was for Ken. It's called Wigan Refugee. I've got to remember it, you see, it's in my head. Are you sitting comfortably? Are you? You won't be when I've finished. I was living in Wigan, up from the cut. Every time the wind blew the door bang shut. I couldn't seem to fettle it. No good at DIY, and too busy watching telly to even bloody try. The wife said, "Sell the bastard." Well, it's easier said than done. I stuck it on the market and no bugger come. 12 months later, waiting to flit. Stuck in bloody Wigan, up from the pit. A stranger came to view it. I shook him by the hand, pointed to the pitscape, said, "Ain't it ruddy grand? Right handy for swimming, just a stone's throw from the cut." The silly bugger bought it. We were glad to get shut. So now I live in posh part. I've flitted out to Lee. Bollocks to George Orwell, I'm a Wigan refugee. That's it, Wigan Refugee by John G. Sutton for my mate Ken. I hope you've been enjoying this Tales from the Jails, and don't forget to watch my interview with Sean Atwood. He sent me a message a couple of days ago, said it's nearly ready to be uploaded and put onto his true crime YouTube channel. So it runs for over 2 hours. What it did before he started to edit it. God knows what it's when he finishes, but we'll see. Thank you very much. Tales from the Jails.